Hey guys, Jacqueline Fernandez here at the Alert Center. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Wanted to discuss gaming. Are you an online gamer? Or what about gambling? Do you gamble online? Well, if you do, there are some things you need to know. Tristan Gomes from the Better Business Bureau joining us now to tell us a little bit more about a new report that was released by the Better Business Bureau that talks a little bit about how the gambling and gaming industry is skyrocketing. And because of this, people are kind of left in the dust as far as trying to figure out the ins and outs of, what are the responsible laws for gambling and gaming online? What do people need to know and watch out for and the red flags, etc. So I'm going to head over to Tristan now. Tristan, thank you so much for joining us again at the Alert Center. Nice to see you.
Yes, happy to be here as always.
Wonderful. So when we're talking about this new study, tell us a little bit about users reporting confusion, misleading terms, and claim unfair losses. What does all that mean exactly?
Yes, absolutely. So when it comes to online gambling and gaming and just betting sites in general, there are so many different ones. It's such a widespread industry with different laws, which we'll get into, but then different terms and conditions. And so many, users will report confusion or misleading terms and claim unfair losses. And so what we want to do is not tell people how to spend their money or, gamble on this or not gamble. We want just people to be aware of the risks and fraudulent activity that's out there in this industry. And just from what our study found is we've had over 10,000 complaints of businesses regarding gambling and betting and over 200 scam tracker reports. So we just want to make sure we're getting the information out there so people are aware.
Okay, and the other thing with gambling that my father always told me anyway, only bet what you're willing to lose. Okay, so we don't want to, give people the details to your checking account, your credit card, your social security number, all that stuff. You don't want to sell your car and your home and all of that. It's just not worth it. So especially now that we're gambling and gaming online, another thing that you need to know is state laws. So can you explain to us why state laws specifically are so important when it comes to this?
Yes, absolutely. Especially when it comes to online gambling, we need to know just where an organization or a company is based out of. Because the state laws here in Nebraska, where gambling has been on the rise the past couple of years, but for a while was very illegal and wasn't allowed. And so there are different laws in different states as it's not a federal regulated industry. And so when maybe you live in Nebraska, but you're making a bet for a company in Iowa or elsewhere, there may be different terms and conditions. So we want to make sure that we understand those because at the end of the day, if you do win a bet, you want to make sure you're getting paid. But you also, if you do have a problem, want to make sure you can solve it the best way possible without having to go through a headache or figure out what state or country you're dealing with.
Yes, so especially being here in Omaha and then Council Bluffs is so close in Iowa, you might want to know how the two states regulate that. So that's an important concept to take note of for sure. Now, another tip you have, check to see if the casino or sports book is licensed. Why is that important, Tristan?
That's extremely important, more just because if something does go wrong, then you can have a little bit more of legal protection when it comes to that. Because they're licensed, that they are agreeing to do the work right. They're agreeing to follow the rules of the state and the federal laws that are made to make sure that everything is fair when it comes to your gambling experience. And so be sure that you can find these licenses. And like Amazon, they're impersonators. They're, scammers out there that are going to impersonate BetMGM or DraftKings. And so be sure that you're looking at, exactly what you're looking for. You double check that you're dealing with the right organization and they do have their licenses. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to give out your information or expect some winnings and you don't get anything at all besides lost checks.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like any fun. And also, again, this is something that I learned that now I put into practice in my own use, both personally and professionally. Check for that HTTPS, right? You want to make sure that that is, in fact, a legitimate website. So something that you taught me there. So I do appreciate that. Meanwhile, Tristan, just want to say thank you so much again for your time here at the Alert Center. Always learn a valuable thing or two from you, so appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll see you next week. Okay, so if you're just joining us, we were just discussing a new report released by the Better Business Bureau as gaming and internet gambling continues to skyrocket. People are kind of left with trying to figure out, how exactly this platform works and what's legal and what isn't. The big takeaway, of course, is knowing what is legal in your state. Gambling is not federally regulated at this point, so it differs state to state. Now, meantime, I did want to take a live look outside. This is a beautiful shot from our Blackstone camera as we discuss our weather conditions currently. So look at all those clouds out there. Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord says, expect patchy morning fog. I saw some of that when I was out walking my dog Ollie. Did you? Now, get this, mostly sunny today, hot and humid, so that summer stretch does continue. We do have a 20% chance of very spotty evening showers, though, a high of 91. Yuck. Okay, as we take a look at what to expect this evening, mostly clear out there with a low of 66. Okay, so in my opinion, that's quite the temperature drop, but of course you'll have to stay tuned and listen to what our meteorologists have to say throughout the day today. Taking a live look now from our Southwest First National camera, look at that, the Desert Dome just glimmering in the sunlight there. So Thursday, mostly sunny, a high of 91. Friday, increasing clouds out there, 40% chance of storms after 3 p.m. And then Rusty says a small risk of a severe storm with a high of 93. Okay, so there's that unfortunate humid and hot and just relatively unpleasant summer days that we've grown accustomed to, unfortunately. So for more on weather and news, I do want to take you to our website. That's firstalert6.com. Let me refresh this grid and make sure we're up to date here. So yes, we do have this breaking news banner here on our website. Let me click on that real quick. So this is a story that we did bring you at the Alert Center here as breaking news just yesterday. And this is about this woman, Nikki Budlong. She's 53. And she is appearing in court this morning. She was in there at 9 a.m. And we will have the latest for you on that. Meanwhile, this is just such a sad story. So her bond was set at $300,000. She does have a preliminary hearing now set for September 22nd, and she has been charged with involuntary manslaughter, abuse of a vulnerable adult, and 3 counts of theft by unlawful taking in excess of $5,000. Okay, so this is just such a sad story. There was one death that came out of this story, which I believe did alert police that something here was not going right. And if you just kind of read through this story, I'll leave this as a web extra for you, but this kind of details just the unsanitary, awful conditions that some of these people that she was supposedly, quote unquote, taking care of were living in. So I will leave that as a web extra for you, as I mentioned. Heading back now to our homepage, here are our top stories and our headlines for your perusal as well. And again, if you're interested in learning more about weather, you can always head up to that gray banner right here and click on the First Alert 6 Weather tab. Now, in the meantime, just want to say thank you so much for joining us at the Alert Center, and please do stay tuned for our broadcast at 3 p.m. with our Dave Zavolinsky. We'll see you then.